Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Karlie. This is mostly a knitting podcast. Sometimes we do talk about other things like sewing and natural dyeing. Today it is mostly knitting, I believe. I think one thing about sewing, and we actually will do our first giveaway for this channel. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I guess we'll cover is the giveaway. I'll show you what it's all about, and then near the end of the episode, I'll let you know how you can enter the giveaway. So what we have here is some naturally hand-dyed minis, dyed by myself. They are fingering weight, 20 grams each, in this really pretty palette, what I think is a pretty palette. So just a little sneak peek, and then I'll talk more about that near the end of the episode, and I'll show you the colors a little bit more in depth as well. So let's start with some finished objects. I have 3 to talk to you about. I actually have one that I have gifted already, so let's start with that one first before I forget. So it was my brother-in-law's birthday last weekend, and he needed a koozie for his drink. So the day before his birthday, was not that prepared, I whipped up the can cozy pattern from Knitty Natty, and I'll put up a picture up on the screen of what I knit up. It was really easy, quick, such a great gift knit. I did a longer version of what the pattern calls for because this was specifically for a Monster energy can, and it was about like 6.5 inches in height, I think, so I did just below that, and this is definitely doable to make in one day if you are in need of a quick gift. Highly recommend. Since I did it a bit longer, like I finished this basically one day, and then I did the cast off the next morning, or the bind off the next morning, so it's definitely doable to do in one day, especially if you do it for a regular can size. I used this beautiful yarn here, which is from Big Little Yarn Co. I used, this was day 25 in my advent calendar from last year. And so this is the trusty sock base, 75% superwash, 25% nylon, and it's the Mount Sakura Hima, I believe is how it's pronounced, by Rizuaburo Umahara. I'm sure I butchered that. But the advent calendar from Mel was based on a day at the museum in Japan. So I still have the card here. So each colorway was based on a painting at the museum. So off of Japanese art, which I just love. So I don't think I've looked up this painting yet that it's based off of, but I'll have to do that because all of the colorways that she produced off of this it was so accurate and fitting for each of the photos. It was really fun to do. I really admire her as a dyer. I think she's so fantastic and talented. I have, like, the advent calendar is the only thing that I've ever ordered from her, but I've always been admiring her yarn online and all of her colorways. She is in Japan, so it's a bit costly to get for shipping, to get some of her items over here, so I splurged a little bit for the advent, and it was well worth it. So that was my first finished object. By now I'm sure I've put pictures up on the screen, but it fit the Monster can very well, which was perfect because I didn't have one to base off of the height off of when I was knitting it. I was just kind of going off of the sizes from what I saw online and comparing it to my other cans that I had in the fridge that weren't from Monster. So it worked out perfectly, and I'm glad I was able to whip that up. I kind of want to make some for myself now because they're just so cute and really fun. A nice little palette cleanser for any projects if you're kind of sick of anything you're working on, and also a great stash buster. So I also just did one solid color for mine. The pattern does include some stripes on the bottom and the top, and tells you, you know, when you should start the striping and end the striping and all of that. So not too much else to say about that because it's a really simple can koozie / cozy, and that's all I have to say. My next finished item is one that I've shown briefly on the last podcast episode, and that is the Knus Light by Elsebeth Judith. I finished it, so here's the top. Come a little closer so you can see all of that gorgeous texture. I knit this using Elsebeth Lavold's yarn in the Hempathy base and in the color Olive, which I believe is color 108. So this is a really nice drapey summer yarn. I think I knit this in about 2 weeks. It was a fairly quick knit for myself. It was just kind of addicting because there's so much different things going on with the texture and you don't get too bored with it, or I didn't get too bored with it. So it is a top-down circular, and you start here at the neckline and do your increases throughout the textured yoke. One thing that I really liked about this is that there's no finishing to do for the neckline. So as you see it here, that's what you cast on and that's what you start, and you don't have to go back and do it. So I really enjoyed that. The sleeves I just did fairly short, but still about an inch after separation of stockinette before going into the ribbing. One thing I did forget to do for this sleeve here is the Purl, 2 purl rows was supposed to go here, and I forgot, and I finished one sleeve, realized when I was on the second sleeve, and I wasn't going to rip out because I thought it looked fine. So I did do the proper purl bump down here at the bottom, or the purl row, and I think it's fine. It doesn't have to be completely matching for the ribbing. The other thing, there's also quite a bit of short row shaping for this, so it has a nice fit. I really like the neckline because it's quite open, and there's short row shaping right off the bat, like kind of for this stockinette section, and then there's also short row shaping within some of the texture. I thought it was really clear and a fun pattern to go off of. It was my first time doing one of Elsebeth Judith's patterns, and I hope to do more in the future. I really did like the process of it, and I've worn this a bunch already. It's really good fabric for summer. It's a bit on the heavier side, so I don't know if I would do anything like a dress or something like that, but for a top I think it's perfect, and it does have a really nice drape to it. If you can tell from me even just holding it like this, there's some nice drape to it. Also, I don't have anything in my closet that's this color, so it was really nice to get something different. I also forgot to mention that this yarn was gifted to me from Knitting Fever to try out, and I thought it was really nice to work with. I am a fan, though, of working with plant-based yarns, and I know a lot of people aren't too keen on that. I am someone that really enjoys it. The texture doesn't bother me too much, and I just love the way it feels on my body and the drape that it can give. So I am kind of biased when it comes to plant-based yarn because I love it so much. But I do think if you're not a huge fan of working with plant-based yarn, that you might enjoy the Hempathy yarn, because I don't find that it's too rough or anything. I think it's quite nice, and like it does have a bit of weight to it, but it's not as heavy as, you know, your worsted cotton or anything. So I really like this, really happy with how this turned out. I Love it. I think it's great, and I'm sure I'll be wearing it a bunch in the summertime. So if this is something that you've looked at before, I highly recommend. I think it was a really nice process and overall quite enjoyable to work on. There's also options. You don't have to do the texture throughout the body here. You can just do plain stockinette and have textured at the yoke only. So there's different options there, and I think even if this plain would be really nice with no texture anywhere, because I just really enjoy the fit of it. And hopefully by now I've put up pictures of myself wearing it, and I do have a video for that. So hopefully that's been played or been up on the screen, but it is just a really nice fitting top. So I would kind of like to experiment in the future with doing this same top, but without the texture, to just have a plain tee, because of how it fits so well. I did do the first size for this, and I believe I did the recommended needle size. I don't think there's too much else to talk about. It's a pretty straightforward, your top-down circular yoke pattern and just a bit of texture in there. So it's nice. It's something a bit different than a plain tee if you're looking for something with a little more variety in your wardrobe. This could be a good option, I think. All right, my next finished object, they're a pair of socks that I have, and I mentioned them briefly on the last podcast episode, and they are a pair of socks from like a design that was kind of in my head, so I knitted them up to see what they would look like, and here we go. So this is knit in my hand-dyed yarn, my naturally hand-dyed yarn. And I've been calling these brick and mortar socks thanks to my boyfriend. He gave me the idea. This just really reminded him of the way bricks lay, and the color is also a very accurate representation of a bricky red. So we're going with brick and mortar socks. These are a top-down sock, and it is a fleagle heel and then your regular just wedge toe. So this was my first time doing a fleagle heel, and it was really fun. I've seen a lot of fleagle heels for toe up, but I haven't seen many, I'm sure I've seen some, but I haven't seen many for cuff down, so I wanted to try it. I really did enjoy this method. I have been talking about how I've been trying to experiment with different heel constructions and to see what I like the most. So far I've tried the classic heel flap that not everybody, but that is so common and a lot of people love. I've tried the short row heel, the afterthought heel, and now the fleagle heel. So I'm not a huge fan of the heel flap. I don't like the process of it and having to knit flat back and forth and then pick up stitches. It's just not for me. So I've been trying to figure out what I like the most. I really do love an afterthought, I love a short row, and I love a fleagle. So I was happy to have chosen a fleagle heel for this. I think it fits really well with the ribbing there. Basically, this is an alternating ribbing pattern, and then you get some of these honeycombs here dividing up the larger sections. The bottom of the foot is just plain stockinette, because I'm one that I don't like to have any texture on the bottom of my foot, so I like to just have stockinette there. Of course, you could continue the ribbing if you wanted. What I like about these socks is I'm not a huge fan of the cuff part of a sock and doing either 2x2 or 1x1 ribbing. I just find that it's a little fiddly for my hands right off the bat. So what's nice about this is it technically doesn't really have a cuff. It's the same pattern throughout the entire way, so it feels like you just get going immediately, which is what I really like. It feels like a quick knit for me, even though it's kind of got a longer leg, longer than usual, than what I usually do. So it's nice because it just feels like I'm jumping into it. I don't have to get through the cuff, and I'm just straight onto the design. It's nice also because I find that it's quite a how do you say this? Memorize. It's easy to remember the pattern and the chart repeat and all of that. Oh my. And it just becomes quite meditative for myself, having difficulties speaking, but just bear with me, please. So I have started a second pair of these socks, and I am using some yarn that I got a couple weekends ago at the Calgary Fiber Shindig. So I'm using this Illuminated Dye Studio. It is a stretchy sock made with cotton and tencel and some nylon as well, and it is in the colorway London Bridge. So I'll show you the skein all wound up in cake form, and hopefully it can show, but there is some stretch to it there. I have my first sock done. I did the smallest size for this one. On my first pair I showed you, I did the second size. So here is my second sock. First sock of my second pair, I should say. And I really, really love these. I'll show you the stockinette side so you can just see how delicate these speckles are. I find that with this type of pattern, it's good to do like a tonal, a solid, or something that is very, very lightly speckled, such as this one. It works really well. Or else I think a variegated would just take away from that very subtle texture. So got this one done, and I have just finished the leg of my second sock here. So I'm just about to start the increases for the Flegel heel. And then I'll be on my way for the foot, and hopefully these will be done fairly soon. I do really enjoy doing socks with the magic loop method, so that's what I've been doing, and that's kind of what I wrote the pattern down for. But I believe it could be modified and easily worked with any other method that you prefer. So I am thinking about releasing this pattern eventually and possibly calling for testers and getting it tech edited if I do go that route and decide to publish it, but we shall see. I am really proud of it. Even though it is simple, it still requires a bit of thought when it comes to these stitches and the stitch count and the heel and all of that, and I really do like the look of the Flegel heel with this design. I think it looks really pretty with that ribbing just being increased right there. I think it's nice and flows really well for that type of pattern. So I am proud of it, and I'm trying not to, diminish the accomplishment it was for me to write it down and to put something in my head into real life, because I've been thinking about it for a while, and it was nice to just finally do it and get started with it. And again, I think these are my favorite pair of socks so far, and that could have a lot to do with the fact that I designed them and they're my very own. But I also just like the look of them and how they don't have that cuff that cinches in too much and then just, either stockinette. They're a bit more than just your plain sock and a bit more than your ribbed sock, but they have a really nice fit, which I enjoy on for the feel of them when I'm wearing them on my feet, and I'm quite picky when it comes to what I'm wearing on my feet. So I'm happy with how they turned out. I also just remembered that I didn't mention what I was wearing today. So I'm wearing yet again my Farfa top. This is a recently finished object. I'm just wearing it underneath some cute jumpers. So yeah, my Farfa top, knit in Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in the color Powder. That's all for finished objects, and that was one whip that we already got into. I do have one whip that I started and haven't shown on here, so I want to talk about that. I'm finally knitting up a Tolsta Tee from Rebecca Clow. It's been such a popular design, and I bought the design quite a bit ago but never got around to it. So I am using some more yarn gifted to me from Knitting Fever, and this is the Queensland collection Dungarees Rainbow Tweed. And the colorway for this one I think is Honeysuckle color 3006. And this is spun from recycled jeans, so it has recycled cotton, 76% recycled cotton, 12% cotton, 7% recycled polyester, and 5% polyamide. And you get, where's the yardage? There we go. 459 yards per 100 grams. So I am doing the fingering weight version for the Tolsta Tee, and it is cinched up on some circulars, so you can't see it too well, but I do want to show the fabric because it's showing up really cool. And I guess the basic, if you haven't heard of the Tulsa Tea by Rebecca Clow, it is a top-down simple raglan, but she does give you some guidelines on how to make it your own. So I'm doing the fingering weight version, and here is that beautiful fabric. I'm hoping that it shows up, but there's some hot pink pieces in here. If I turn it that way, I think you can see it. Oh, there's one. So I'm excited about this because I just really liked the color. It's a nice neutral, and I think it'll be really cute to have with jeans, a skirt, or whatever. So I decided to skip the ribbing for the neckline when I cast this on, and I just went straight into the raglan increases. But at the end, I'm going to do an applied I-cord for the neckline, and it will cinch in just slightly, but that is my plan so far. I also want to do an applied I-cord, or an I-cord bind off rather, for the sleeves and the bottom of the hem. I want the sleeves to come probably about where my Farfa sleeves are, and I think that'll be really nice. I also am very much looking forward to this because it's very lightweight. I'm knitting this on a 3.25 millimeter needle, so it is a slow going project, but I think it'll be worth it. I'm not rushing myself for it, and I'm just trying to enjoy the process as I go. And we'll have one more look here at that fabric. I think it's really fun, and I think it'll go with a lot of things in my wardrobe too. So this is just a couple of days work. I pick it up here and there, but there's not a whole lot to say on it right now. And of course it looks a little funny because it's just cinched up here, but I believe this would be it looking straight on. Where my hands are is each sleeve, and the back is closest to me and the front is closest to you. So I'm excited about that. I'm not putting any pressure on myself for finishing this one. It'll just kind of be something that I work on here and there, and we'll see when it gets done. It's funny because I just finished this Farfa top, which was also knit on 3.25 millimeter needles, I believe, and now I'm back into another one, and this one took me so long. It took me a great deal of, I had to have a lot of motivation to finish this one, and it sat around for months and months and months. It was on the needles for almost exactly a year, and I don't want that to happen with this one. So I'm just hoping to regularly pick it up here and there and get a few rows in every day or so. I have one more whip to share with you, and then we can talk about giveaway, and I do have a sewing item to talk about briefly. So my next whip is not a whole lot to share, but I just started it the other day, and this is the Anker sweater by Petite Knit, and this is for the size 1-year-old. I am knitting this for my sweet little nephew. I'm just starting the yoke. As you can see, I'm on my second ribbed portion, and I'm using some really beautiful dark blue navy yarn that I got from my Nana's stash. So this is some vintage yarn here. It's Penguin Chunky. It is a 50-gram ball and 75% acrylic and 25% wool, and you get 82 yards. So it's a good yarn, a good wool for some baby knits. It's soft. It can go into the washing machine, no problem, and it'll be low maintenance for my sister if she needs to wash this and she doesn't have to worry about hand washing. So I did knit a sweater for my niece, and I knit the sweater out of all of my Nana's yarn from her stash. and gave that to my niece a couple weeks back, and I did the Azucena sweater from Claudia Quintanilla of Unit Toronto. I modified the pattern and did it for a child size and gave that to her. I thought that was just something really special that my sister could have. That was from my Nana, knit by me and given to her daughter. So I wanted to return the favor or not return the favor. I wanted to do the same thing for my what do you call it, nephew. Oh my God. For my nephew, and give him a nice sweater that was also from my Nana's yarn, just as a fun special keepsake for them, and maybe when they're older they can pass this down to their children. So it's just a top down simple sweater. The yoke is done in sections of ribbing, and then the rest of the body and the sleeves are done in stockinette. So no rush on this one either. He's only about 6 months now, and I'm doing size 1 to 2. So if I get this done by his first birthday, I'd be happy, hopefully a little bit before then. And I hope he can get at least a couple of months wear out of it, but we shall see. They do grow so fast. So I also have a finished sewing item that I finished just yesterday, and that is the Bellbird wrap skirt by Common Stitch. I'll put up some photos here on the screen of myself wearing it and styled differently. I first styled it with the matching top, which was I think it was just the Bellbird blouse, and it's done in the exact same fabric as the skirt, which was a linen blend from Rick Rack Textiles here in Calgary. I do not know the exact name of it because the information of the linen just wasn't on the tag that I had. So I first styled it with that, then I styled it with my Farfa top, and I thought it looked really cute with that. And then I styled it with just a plain tank top and my new clogs that I got a couple months back. I'm really happy with it. It's so cute. It's perfect for my style, I think, and I'm very much looking forward to wear it this summer. I found, this is my second time doing a Common Stitch pattern. I found that the Bellbird blouse was a lot easier to follow, and the Bellbird wrap skirt was a little bit more difficult. I mean, it was not a difficult project, but I just found that the directions weren't as involved as the Bellbird blouse. So I did do some steps out of order. That's probably me just in my eyes getting all mixed up, but I just found that it was a lot easier with the Bellbird blouse. However, everything worked out in the end, and it's a really wearable piece, and I'm very happy with it. I would like to make more, and I think just having done one already, it will help me make more in the future, and it won't be as confusing. I did get a little confused with the directions at one point, and I'm not sure if that's me or if that was something maybe missing in the pattern, but either way it worked out, and it is figure-outable and doable. I think it'll look really cute with a lot of different knits to wear this summer too. So if you're interested in a wrap skirt, I do recommend that. Just kind of, I think, have to read the pattern, the instructions beforehand to get your mind around it, or at least that's something I should do. So maybe it'd be fine for you. Okay, that's enough of sewing. Let's get into the giveaway. This is the first giveaway of this channel, which is kind of exciting. I've wanted to do one before, but just kind of didn't know how to do it really. And I decided let's just go for it. So I have 5 20-gram mini skeins here that I've dyed naturally. So you get a total of 100 grams. I think this is a really pretty color palette and could go from any season. So that's kind of why I chose these colors. I thought they're like muted enough that they could probably work for a lot of people, and they're not particularly leaning to any kind of season. So I thought they would work for any season, any project of the year. So if you're interested in entering the giveaway, just leave a comment below letting me know what you would use these minis for. It could be anything. And then I will pick a random commenter on the next video and display the winner then and announce the winner then. So if you're interested in that, please do comment down below what you would knit or crochet or embroider or whatever with these 5 mini skeins. And then make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss the announcement of the next video, because that would be a shame if you won but didn't get the notification that this video is out and that you won. So I think that these would be great for scrappy socks, maybe little random bits of color work here and there. They could be really perfect for a scrappy blanket that you have, or maybe those very popular Stella quilt cushions, Stella quilt blanket, or the Sweet Shop blanket all by Laura Penrose that everybody's making. These would be perfect for that. So I hope you like these, and again, comment down below, let me know, and we'll pick the winner next episode, and hopefully that will be within a week or two. But again, just keep your eye out. Keep your eyes peeled for the next episode so you don't miss the announcement of the winner. I'm very excited to do the first giveaway. It's super fun. I think it's a fun way to give back and say thank you to all of you who've been watching and supporting my channel. And I've got a lot of these skeins that I've dyed myself, so it's a perfect way to kind of declutter and give this to a new home. So I would love to see someone use these up, and I'd love to see whatever they make with it if they decide to share that with me. You don't have to. You don't have to. All right, that's all I have to talk about for the making this week. I've been really enjoying knitting and taking things slowly. I am just working on things that I want to work on at the moment, and it's been really enjoyable. So I hope that's been the case for all of you watching as well. And yeah, thank you so much for sticking around this long if you have. I hope everybody's been having a good start to this season so far, whether it's spring or fall or wherever you are. It's been a little weird for me. It's been, feels like spring and then a huge jump of snow, and then feels like spring, then super cold, and then a nice day, and back and forth. But I think we're getting further into April now where we can hopefully have some steady weather. Fingers crossed. The good thing is that it's getting green outside and from all the moisture and the snow that we've gotten, so that's been really nice. And every time we get a dump of snow, I just think, you know what? It's moisture for the earth. It's okay. It's okay. This is really good for the grass and the trees and the plants, so I try not to get too bothered by it. But anyways, I think that's it for now. I'll leave you all and see you next time. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.